Questioner notes that the Muslim community has expressed deep concern about how they are being characterized as the administration begins its summit on violent extremism. And I know that on the other side, the administration's been criticized for not calling it religious extremism in some of these cases. So it's sort of come on both sides. Could you tell us your thought process, and when you talk about this issue of religious extremism, how do you try to nail that right down the middle so that you're not going too far, but also you want to call it what it is, I imagine. So.
All right, yeah, he wants to call it what it is. You do imagine. Welcome to Give Me Five, ladies and gentlemen. Perfectly legitimate question for the Attorney General, and as you might expect, the answer is going to drive you crazy, make your head spin, and make you ask, what has happened to our country? And here it is.
Whenever you're getting criticized by both sides, it probably means you're probably getting it right. You know, it's we spend more time talking about what do you call it, as opposed to what do you do about it. You know, I mean, really, if Fox didn't talk about this, they'd have nothing else to talk about. It would seem to me. You know, radical Islamic extremism. Yeah, you know how unbecoming it is for an attorney general to talk about a TV network? You know how petty, how petty and I mean, folks, that describes who he is. It describes who Obama is. Look at the revelations by David Axelrod in his book about how Obama hates his negative media coverage, despises Maureen Dowd, etc., etc., etc. And this is who this administration is. And Holder's not finished. He's got more. I'm not sure an awful lot is gained by saying that. It doesn't have any impact on our military posture. It doesn't have any impact on what we call it, on the policies that we put in place. What we have to do is defined not by the terms that we use, but by the facts on the ground.
Do you realize how ludicrous this is? We're in a war. We don't need to call the enemies what they really are. That doesn't affect our fight. You know, we shouldn't call these Germans Nazis. That's not nice. You know, you might offend some people. It's not going to affect how we fight World War II. But let's not call Hitler, a dictator, a maniacal mass murderer. Why call names? What's with the names? What's with the hang-up? This is sick stuff. Sick stuff. And Republicans should be pouncing on every word that comes out of their mouths. Harf, and the other one at the State Department, and Obama, and Holder. Every time they say these things, Republicans should be making a point of pointing it out to America. I don't see them around, though. I guess they're on vacation, though, Here's more.
I don't worry an awful lot about what the appropriate terminology, ought to be. And I think people need to actually think about that and think about, really, we having this conversation about words as opposed to what our actions ought to be. This is a difficult problem. This is going to be an ongoing issue.
He doesn't want a conversation about words. But he's dying to find the shooter in North Carolina. He's dying to find not only words spoken, words written, words thought to indicate that crime, that horrific, disgusting murder, was in fact a hate crime. And how do you determine a hate crime? Based on words and thought. But all this talk about words? What do we care about words? Hypocrite. More.
This is something that requires us to think as a nation. How are we going to deal with the domestic issues that I was describing in my previous response, and how are we going to deal with the foreign policy consequences of some very, very serious problems that our allies face and that we face in particular in a particular part of the world. But the terminology has, it seems to me, little or no impact on what ultimately we have to do.
Should we call them enemy, at least? No, I don't call them enemy. Are we going to win? Victory? No, I don't do that either. Your Newsmax Now updates next.